You know, it has been said of me by those who oppose my rendering of biblical texts as well as my spirituality that I worship my father Lucifer, or my father Satan, or the devil, or that the evil serpent, that I have been possessed by some demonic force. This is a common theme of attacking my character that I receive from many people who cannot attack the information that I provide. So, in thinking about that, I recognize that most of these people actually have no idea who the Satan, Lucifer, is. So let's take a moment to render this idea and where it comes from. If you actually study the Bible and study all the writings that created the doctrine of your Bible, what you will discover is that at no point in time within the Bible is it that the serpent, Satan, or Lucifer all one and the same being. You will find that each one of them are separate individual beings, separate individual accounts. And one of the things that you had that was popular in those time frames was to combine those one-time entities together. You see, the serpent is only mentioned that one time in the Bible in the Garden of Eden. Lucifer is only mentioned in Isaiah. Satan is only mentioned in the book of Job. But each one of these represents three distinct characteristics and three distinct beings that are not to be combined into one. You see, early first century Christians never combined those three into one being. You don't have the first combination of Lucifer being the devil until second century, when you have the writings of Justin Martyr. Justin Martyr is the first identifiable place where Lucifer was identified as Satan. Now, Lucifer in Isaiah was actually a council person, a prophet, who was telling the king this king was very arrogant. The king would not humble himself. And he was telling this king that he was stubborn and lacked humility, and that he would fall from grace, and call him Lucifer, which is actually a Greek translation of the Hebrew word, which I cannot remember exactly what that word is right now. And it meant the shining one. Now, later on, Jerome referred to this shining one as the star Venus. If you go out in the morning before sunrise, you will see the brightest star in the east is actually the planet Venus. And as the sun rises, the star Venus appears to be falling in the sky. So it was reference to an astronomical event as far as what this king's attitude was. It was a metaphor. Lucifer is a metaphor. It is not the shining one. It is not the angel that supposedly revolted against your creator, against Yahweh, and one of the fallen angels. You get more of the reference to the fallen angel when you look at Luke 10 or Revelations 12, where that is a Greco-Roman identification with those fallen angels who supposedly rebelled against Yahweh in heaven prior to the advent or the creation of earth and human beings and so on and so forth. But those two are not connected. It is not until you get into the 3rd century with Origin of Alexander as to where you get Satan, Lucifer, the devil, serpent, all wrapped up into one being. And one of these reasons is because many people were questioning who are these individual beings and are they all the same? But they have very distinct things that cannot make them the same. You see, the serpent, well, first, let's look at it. The fact that it is said in your Bible, I believe also in Isaiah, that God cannot be where there is evil. It is also spoken of in the book of Enoch, as well as in Revelations, that the so-called Satan, the devil, is chained up in the earth. If the devil is chained up in the earth, then how is it that he can also be the Satan, who is going from heaven to earth, who is speaking with your creator in a heavenly council? That would contradict the idea that this Satan, this devil, has been locked up and chained and was thrown out of heaven as an Enoch and cast down to the earth as his prison. as his prison, and he is not to be paroled except for a short time frame in Revelations. So this is not the same person. The serpent and the Leviathan that is referred to in Revelation 12 is not the same as the serpent in the garden, as this serpent had the ability to move around and move about the earth in order to trick Adam and Eve, as you would say, or anyone else on the planet. So Lucifer is a star, is a planet Venus, and is a metaphor for lacking humility and being stubborn. The Satan is an angel whose job is to question the ongoings on earth and in heaven. The serpent, in all truth, is Enki, as far as them bringing that from the Sumerian story of the opposition to Enlil or El. So these are not the same beings. They are not the devil. The true devil is you. The true devil is the negative portions of your brain that goes against your moralities, what you know is right. The true devil is the one that tells you when you know you're about to do something wrong, something against humanity, something that you would not want done to yourself. The part of your brain that makes you want to steal, want to kill, want to sexually assault someone, the one that creates racism, the one that also creates fear inside of you, the one that causes you to turn a blind eye to truth, the one that causes you to not take opportunities that have been presented to you, the one that tells you not to move but causes you to procrastinate and not fix issues that you have in your life that you have the capability of fixing. That is the devil. That negative portion of your brain that causes you to be racist, whether upfront or benign, the one that causes you to allow suffering when you see that you can do something about it, that is the devil. It is not some entity outside of yourself. It is not some entity that possesses you. It is not an entity that leads you astray, but it is your own self that leads you astray, leads you away from understanding the truth that is around you and in front of you and inside of you, that causes you to fear this Yahweh, to fear questioning humanity, fears questioning ancient texts. That is the true devil, the true one that has beguiled you and caused you to eat from a fruit, a tree, and you are eating from the tree of ignorance. You're eating from a tree that says, I refuse to allow my logical brain, to allow my gut instincts, when it's telling me that I am going down the wrong path, that there is very little historical evidence of any of the people of the Old Testament. There are historical evidence of the places, but of the people, no. There's no evidence of Abraham. There's no evidence of Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Noah. When you know the flood could not and did not happen in the way that the Bible has written it, when you know that there were pre-flood stories that were long before the Noah story, and that the Old Testament is a propagandized book that was set up for a certain group of people to uplift them, to give them a historical antiquity. This is the negative portion of your brain that causes you to ignore that. When you look at a book that promotes genocide, that promotes segregation, that promotes racism, that promotes child endangerment, and you ignore it, this is the negative side of your brain, your own personal devil, the one that dwells within you that causes you that. When you can look at my information, don't do any research, but just flail off with the doctrine that you've been given from Jerome, Justin Martyr, Origin of Alexander, and take that as your biblical truth, as the true authority of who Satan is. That is the devil. So remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.